Welcome to the paddock.
F1 America, guys. Welcome back. Thank you.
We're definitely stoked. We're live on Twitch right now, so you can go to TN Antman on Twitch whenever we do this to get a sneak preview of what's going on in these recordings. We will also have this uploaded on YouTube, hopefully before the race this weekend.
Definitely before the
You're
race.
the editing guy, so
yeah
not
before
to
the
hold
race.
Not to hold you accountable, but
because we have other stuff too. I've got a couple other videos to do as well.
Sweet. I'm excited. It's race week.
Race week, baby.
Lots of good stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about some helmets. We're going to do a livery recap.
Yeah.
Talk about just kind of bench race, the first race of the year.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do some maybe like first race guesstimates too.
Yeah.
I know we already did some, but
now it's here. We got to revisit that.
Yeah.
Because
and some team ones, I think, because of everything after testing. So I spent 25 hours watching all of the F1 testing all weekend. It was awesome.
I did not watch any of the testing, so I'm a terrible.
So we'll just do like a little recap of that too. I was debating whether or not to do like a full video on that, but I think we'll just do it here.
Might be a lot to bite off. Yeah, just like a little.
We'll see if we need to. I might. We'll see. But before we get like super started into today, I have a surprise for Tristan.
Oh shit!
A t-shirt reveal.
Oh no. So. Oh, dude, that thing came out sick.
That's pretty dope, huh?
Yeah. Not bad for a Mercedes lover.
I know. So I'm not jumping ship just yet, even though Red Bull looks really good after testing. I'm not jumping ship. I think this shirt looks really cool, and it was on sale.
The gold flake, yeah. No,
isn't that sick?
I'm here for the gold flake.
Yeah,
and the blue. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So
we should do an over/under on how long it takes for Zach to comment George Russell. That's what I'm waiting on. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff coming into the race weekend. I'm a little heartbroken, to be honest, with McLaren, as much as they shit can Danny Rick and how much of a fan I am, just because he's a great character, right? Not because I'm in love with him like half the people out there, but
he's in love with him.
Hey,
actually, you love Lando.
I do love Lando. Lando's a good kid, but and it sucks to see that they are going through some hardships and struggles with the car. Like they're openly admitting, like they're all on. McLaren is on suicide watch right now.
They're having the struggles.
Yeah, they are not very stoked. So that's one thing we'll probably dive into a little bit more. Do we want to talk about the liveries first? Is that a good place to start, you think? And then we'll
let's do that. So I guess we're gonna do like liveries, some lids.
Yep.
And just kind of our thoughts moving into race week.
Yeah.
Because it's the fucking start. We're in race number 1. I will have a video as well coming out every the start of every race weekend. So like the Friday when first practice 1 is going to be just all about like the race track that they're at and kind of a history, how many turns, some, just statistics on the track and stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. That's going to be the plan to launch every first practice. So
nice. I like it. I like it. I'm here for it. I'll start off with saying probably favorite livery I've seen. It's a toss-up between, I'm a big fan of the AlphaTauri. It's not much. It's just enough change to make me get a little tickle inside. I think
the red with the Orlan.
The red and the blue pops, or the red and the navy, whatever we want to call it. Pops makes it just enough to, it wasn't a Red Bull. It didn't just copy. It's not the same color it's been the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's slightly different. I think it pops too. I definitely agree. I like that livery. I think it adds a lot. It is so subtle, but it adds a completely different look to the car.
Big flare.
I think it's cool. Yeah.
Close second, or if not tied, I'm just as torn on, and I'm really stoked on, is the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah,
that's what
I was gonna say. I really like the Alpha,
but yeah, they're both Alphas. Really the AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, probably my 2 faves this year. Most of the other cars didn't change too much. McLaren changed a little bit, even though that's my go-to team.
Well, Mercedes changed a lot.
Oh yeah, their Darth Vader team. I'm a fan of it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's also looking at it. It's mostly carbon fiber, like almost entirely, and just the upper half of has like a slight flat black.
Yeah,
and then their sponsor logos,
and that teal or turquoise, whatever.
And the little stripe, the Petronas green.
Yeah, looks beautiful. So definitely excited to see a lot of them. Like you said, Red Bull, not much has changed. Haas, I did like the Haas. It looked a little different, nothing crazy, but it was.
I like the added carbon fiber, and so that's the overall theme of every single team this year. Is like weight saving is the biggest thing, and so you're going to see carbon fiber over all of these cars. Almost all of them have like just straight carbon fiber, no paint, and then a lot of just decals, which are going like the logos for the sponsorships. I even saw Red Bull actually, like the more I looked at it, looks like the whole under half is all carbon fiber.
Oh, really?
But it blends into the
wrap.
blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they have the top, that's wrapped normal. But so, and I think a lot of teams were doing that. The Alpha, it looks great. The red is great, but all of that other black is carbon fiber.
Oh yeah.
Which cool. We're big fans of carbon fiber, so bring it on. I think it's cool.
More carbon fiber, the faster you go, right?
Well, that's actually the theory. This is why they're doing it, because even a little, 1 or 2 grams makes a difference between, a tenth a lap, a 2/10 a lap.
Hey kids, with your Honda Civics, make sure to put some carbon fiber on there and go at least 5 miles per hour faster.
They can't afford that.
Oh shit!
So they put the stripes on it because that makes it.
Hey, I'm pretty sure I wrapped some stuff in just carbon fiber sticker.
Oh, there you go.
That's
true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the Williams wasn't too big of a difference. Still their typical like blues, light blues. Doesn't look bad. I think it looked different enough to notice it, but it wasn't like gonna get me like hot and bothered.
So they now have the Golf is now their sponsor, right? That was McLaren. That was the blue, like the baby blue, but it's not their main sponsor just yet. And so they had to keep kind of the normal stuff. So they think once their main sponsor changes to Golf, they're going to have more of the Golf livery, which is that light blue.
Okay, got it. Which would be nice.
I think that'll be cool. Yeah.
Basically the same.
I love that green though.
Yeah, the green.
The green is fucking dope. And even the little stripe, the like bright yellow fluorescent, I think it's cool. It hasn't really changed a whole lot. The design's changed a little. You can see the side pods if you compare the two of them. But the livery itself hasn't really changed.
Speaking of side pods, didn't Mercedes go with a different side pod this year?
So
slightly different.
It's different. It's not
different.
It's still like basically no side pod, but it is different. Quite a bit. I think they would have
learned from last year. No side pod wasn't working out for them. But
I know, especially you sent me that clip this morning.
Oh, the one Toto just losing his mind.
Yeah.
So somebody sent me the one that's Red Bull calling him out, and he's like, "If your car fucking doesn't work, fix the fucking car." And Toto's melting down. But then I sent you the full clip. It was like Toto flipping out about everything under the sun, and this is what you need to do to fix it. And Christian's like, "No, if you got a fucking problem, fix it." And
well, and he's like, "Congratulations, you guys have figured it out. That's good for you."
Why does the Mercedes just rip off everybody else? Like everybody else.
I know. They're
the cry.
I don't think that's it, honestly. Well, it could be, but here's what I have to say is German engineering doesn't make sense. Like if you look at all the German cars, like Audi and even Mercedes and BMW, they all have some funky shit, right?
Yeah.
Like their engines are weird. Why is the battery under the seat? Like, different weird things. So I think that's just kind of how they engineer things, which is like outside of the box. Their mentality is that they can bring more upgrades at a better cost to that package versus the other one. So I know that's what they were talking heavy on last season about, look, this is basically going to be a building year. We haven't figured out this, but we think that this package is going to be basically far surpassing the next couple of seasons anything that anybody else could do.
I thought last year was
I don't know.
Year. Jesus Christ.
That's what I mean. Like last year.
That's what they were talking about. Last year was their building year. This year is supposed to be their breakout year, I guess.
Well,
breakout for the surface year.
Third day of testing showed that they had a little bit more. Like it's better. And so I listened to an interview with your favorite person, George Russell.
So you know what? You should have taken an over under on that one.
And basically what he's saying is, look, we're focusing on the European circuits onward, which is about race 6.
There you go.
And so that means they're bringing huge upgrades to that race, to race 6. I want to say it's Barcelona, but I don't hold me accountable for that. I'm not positive. Basically, it's like the start of the European part of the season. You have a lot more races condensed. So the idea is that there's the next, like the first 5 races are spread over a lot longer time. That allows them to figure out and develop a lot more.
The car,
before So then you have a lot of races condensed. So you have more opportunity to score a lot more points in a shorter period of time in the middle half of the season.
Got it.
So they don't want to spend all this time developing for some of the certain races. Because I know like Bahrain is just a different surface. So it hasn't been resurfaced since it was created.
Okay.
And so
Tire wear is probably insane there.
Tire wear is off. So they don't necessarily want to build the car specifically to be great at Bahrain,
right?
Because it won't necessarily be good at all the other ones.
If you think about it, Bahrain's a really boring circuit. Like there's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing like, you know, Spa has the wild up left, right, uphill.
Monaco, the whole thing is wild.
Yeah. The one thing that blows my mind though about the European circuits is there's a lot more elevation change.
A lot, yeah.
Versus any I think circuit what's our track called? Texas?
Coda.
That's what I was like. Circuit Americas.
Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Coda has some elevation, but it's subtle elevation. It's not like Spa where you have crazy elevation and then you're going up to the peak and then you're coming back down.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why they would hold off on those upgrades. The other thing I would say is
there's also not a lot of really fast high-speed corners. There's one that's sort of, but compared to a lot of the other circuits, there's not. So again, to try and like in Bahrain, there's not really a super high speed cornering
for sure.
So it's like you have a lot more of that in the other circuits that is going to bring, you know, because usually you look kind of at the teams, they're either really really big straight line speed and then shitty in the corners, or a little slower in the in straight line speed and really fast in the corners. Like that's what we had last year. The Red Bull was really fast and then the Ferrari was really good in the corners, and so the Ferrari was catching up in the corners and then losing in the straight, you know. So it's kind of like that's part of the strategy, right? Do we want to set it up to be a little bit faster, or do we want to set it up to corner better? And so
Interesting thoughts. Yeah, I mean, because you think about it too, like going back to like when we were going to Russia's very high speed, long, fast straights, high speed corners.
I think that's an abrasive circuit too.
And then what's the one in? There's Japan, and then there's also Singapore. Is that the one where they do under nights? Or under the lights? Yeah. Singapore seems very fast but tight as well. Which Singapore is like really flat, but
street circuit.
Yeah, street circuit. Yeah. Fast, long straightaways, but then really tight corners, which most of your street circuits are going to be fast and tight, or long and tight, I should say. But yeah, I mean, definitely interested to see how things are going to go. Bahrain, you can't really you can't win it, but you certainly can lose it, I think, at Bahrain. So like Red Bull could,
I don't know. I think it's early on enough that even if you fuck up completely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, the year that Max won it the first time, him and Lewis both had DNFs that season.
Oh yeah, so, a couple.
Yeah, and a couple each, but they still won. And then they were both battling 1 and 2 for the title all the way through.
Yeah. And last season, Red Bull had DNF the first race, both of them.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Engine failures, and so they still came back and just crushed everybody. So you know, but their development was far surpassed. I think the rest of the field is going to be closer to them this season, but I definitely think that Red Bull is still starting off quite a bit. Maybe even like 2 to 3 tenths above, like let's say Ferrari, and then Ferrari's maybe a couple tenths above Mercedes. A lot of the expectation is that Aston Martin's actually going to come in and be. It looked at from day like 1 and 2 of testing that Aston Martin could potentially surpass Mercedes.
Really?
I don't know. I don't think so, but that's kind of what some of the commentators were saying. That's what some of the data looked like. I think the wild card, the interesting one is Alpine, because the entire weekend, basically, Alpine team is just super thrilled. Everybody's really positive. Everything's perfect. The car's performing, and everybody is like, that car looks like shit. It's super, super tight. It looks squirrely in the corner. Like nothing looks good. The data doesn't look good, yet the team is just raving about it. So everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, are they holding back something that nobody else knows? Like, why are they so upbeat about sucking right now, basically? So
kind of like reverse psychology, I guess. Like, let's just mind fuck everybody.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we really don't know, right? We have 1 week until we see. Like, we'll know Saturday after qualifying how everybody's really doing, right? Mercedes is notorious for kind of sandbagging.
Yeah, they're downplaying it a lot, and then they're going to come to the gates just swing.
But then last year, I had high hopes thinking, okay, like they're sandbagging, and they sucked. Granted, they came back towards the end of the season and they started making that car work, which I think is great. So I'm hoping that they don't have such a catch up to do starting this year, but we'll see.
I would say for the sake of racing as a fan, for all the fans, right? Because like obviously there's only 20 guys racing for now. But so as a fan, you want to see the racing and you want to see, like, I would love to see it be a 3-car battle. As I'm not a Mercedes fan.
Yeah.
I would love to see Mercedes be in it and it be a Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull battle. Me too. If we could even get a top 5 battle going, like if Aston Martin's in the mix occasionally, that'd be cool.
Yeah, even if, let's say, maybe they're not in contention for the title, but like 2 or 3 races and Aston Martin wins, you know, or even like a Haas comes up and wins a couple. Like I think that'd be dope. Instead of just every single, you're like, all right, well, is it going to be Red Bull? Is it going to be Ferrari? Is it going to be Red Bull? Is it going to be Mercedes?
I feel like that's been the story for as long as F1's been around. It's like there's always that one guy, that one team that's above everybody else. And that's great because obviously they're putting their money where it needs to go. And that's what you're paid to do, is go win races. But at the same time, as a fan, it can get a little boring.
Totally.
And that's any motorsport, right?
I know a lot of prior fans from F1 that don't watch anymore because they're like,
George Russell's going to be P1. Dude, I had him on the ropes all season. I think I owe him $20 or something like that because we did a bet. I'm like, he won't win a race. He'll get a podium. He won't win a race. And then, sure enough, George, like 2 races ago, ends up getting a win. Which, congrats for him. That's great for him, especially in his rookie year. Definitely didn't see it because the car was also struggling so much. I was like, not happening. Yeah. For him to get it,
I don't think George should get comfortable beating Lewis. I don't think that is like a normal thing that's gonna happen.
I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious though, because I feel like Mercedes has, like, realistically, as much as I hate to say it, they have like the all-star lineup, because I feel like either one of their guys could win.
Yeah.
Right. If their car is on point, either of their cars could win. So they
but
technically could have 2 title.
Checo's
drivers.
a proven race winner.
Yeah.
Sainz and Leclerc both proven race winners.
True.
So I don't necessarily, like, as much as I'm a Mercedes fanboy, I mean, I think either one of the 3 top teams have a driver that has proven they can win, and they will. And I think it's just a matter of what team has the best strategy and car development.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that Ferrari doesn't fuck their drivers again this year with strategy. I mean, they
fired Benito, so
they did, right? So everything is changing. I think that's going to be good. And Fred Vasseur is who their new team principal is, and I believe all the talk was that he was a strategist.
So he was at one point.
I believe so. So then
he'll check people and be like, "No, this is a dumb idea."
I think he'll be like,
"Yeah, I can get behind that. We're pitting on lap 25," and
he obviously has a lot of other responsibilities that he's got to do too. Right. So I don't think I think he's going to really put that trust into somebody that he knows is going to create good strategy.
For sure. I mean, I just don't know. It's early in the season. I think Red Bull will be like, yeah, Checo, go on and win. If he's in position, Bahrain, Checo, go take the win, right?
I don't think so.
But at the end of the day, what concerns me is, so, like, I think if Mercedes, either one, George or Lewis, is in the position to win, they're going to say go for it. And I think the same thing for Ferrari. I think they'll say go for it, right?
Yeah.
But then as soon as we get past any decent amount of time, if we're halfway beyond through the season, I don't see Chris telling Checo, unless Checo has a serious points advantage over Max, I don't see him saying, yeah, Checo, keep winning races.
No, I don't see that either.
Which, I mean, I would love Checo's the one I want to see win a title.
That'd be
agree. Legit.
I totally agree with you.
It'd be a double win. Red Bull wins again because he doesn't love Red Bull, and then Checo, a new driver, wins. Like, that'd be mega.
Yeah.
And then imagine just like the dick swinging you could do at Red Bull, being like, yeah, both of our drivers have World Constructor Championships, or world titles.
I just think that Max is like their fanboy, and they'll do anything for him. I don't know. I think they would even go as far as to, like, screw Checo on his
pit stop strategy or something,
on his strategy, just so that Max. I would. I know that's really bold and that's really fucked up to say, but I do. I think they like Max so much that is the case.
What sucks is we're probably not going to get a Red Bull sponsorship after they watch this, right?
sucks because I really love Red Bull as a brand.
I know that's like,
Look, I'm repping you guys.
I grow up dreaming, idolizing. If it's Red Bull related,
Same.
it's sick.
Same.
It's legitness. It's super dope. So
honestly, during the Danny Rick era, like,
oh yeah,
I was huge Red Bull fanboy. It wasn't just because they were winning either, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel it's hard to put my personal feelings like aside.
So I mean, if you throw Seb and Danny in the car, you're Team Red Bull all the way.
Oh, 100%.
Like you're
100%.
on your knees.
And I can
come on, Dan. Come on,
I could vibe with Christian enough.
Yeah.
I understand that, like, he's trying to win, bro. Like, I get that and I respect that. There's certain things that I said before, I don't necessarily, if he was maybe my team principal, I would trust him. I don't trust him now. Yeah, you know, I think he would tell you one thing and do something totally different.
Yeah, I think there's certain, and this is maybe unpopular opinion. I mean, I kind of respect Christian because he's willing to send it and do it all to get the win, right? So, and I think Toto is to an extent as well, but I think Toto will do it the more sophisticated way. I feel like Christian's like kind of like the in a dogfight in the backyard street brawler. Yeah, I feel like Toto is I'm the king of England. Let me show you how to. Let me get my people to go do my dirty work. That's how I view Mercedes. Personally.
So Christian's like the little man like us. We need to root for him more.
Yeah. I feel like Red Bull is the underdog in the F1 world. Maybe not as much anymore. But like coming up, you know, in comparison to Mercedes has double the amount of titles that Red Bull does. Red Bull wins every now and then Mercedes goes on a run. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think Red Bull up until maybe recent years has always or will always be the underdog. And then I mean the Ferrari will come in there and I think that too.
Red Bull has Christian Horner to thank a lot for their success. Like, don't get me wrong, I respect what the guy does.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff's going to happen this weekend. I think it'll be interesting to see. If I'm going to make a prediction on qualifying, I think the Red Bulls are going to be strong. Yeah, I think they'll for sure be in the top 5 unless some crazy shit happens. I mean, I would even go so far as to say top 3. And I didn't even watch qualifying just based on like what you've told me and what I've seen on social media.
I think it's going to be like Max, Leclerc, Sainz, Checo.
Yeah, that'd probably a solid.
I'd love to see George or Lewis up in there too. And I think they possibly could because I think their car is closer at the start this year than it was last year. I don't think they have a handle on it fully. Right. Again, they've even openly admitted that they're not bringing any like huge performance until race 6.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we can really expect them to, but they've shown that they have decent race pace, Mercedes.
Right.
And I think they have generally good strategy. I think they're generally fast in the pits. Like, I think
they pick up where they left off last year.
I think so.
That'd be a good starting point.
I think so.
Not starting from where they started with, but like where they left, which obviously it's a new car.
They even talked about how they do have a second side pod, you know, like basically a regular side pod, but like
alternative if we want.
Yeah, but all the time, like they're not gonna do it. I think they're sticking to their guns on like we believe that this is gonna be better than everybody else in the end.
I'm all for them being like, hey, this won't work. I'm gonna, and then them being like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna prove it's gonna work. I'm all for that methodology. Yeah. I think that's normally when somebody's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, bitch, watch me.
Yeah.
And so I can get behind that.
So what I'm curious about is I don't know exactly his position, but it was either last like 2021, I think, where one of the main Mercedes like designers went to Red Bull, and I'm really curious if
he took some stuff with him.
No, I mean, I'm obviously experienced, right? So I'm curious if that person
leaving put a hole
created and so they're having some scrambling there trying to fill in that innovation. Well, now that innovation is at Red Bull, and I don't remember exactly what his job title was, but I remember Red Bull poached him and paid him a lot.
So what's crazy though, there's so many smart freaking people out there, right? Like that's what blows my mind is like, how do you not find another engineer or whoever it is, whatever his position is, right? Like how can somebody else not figure it out? There's so many smart people in the world, you know.
Well,
there's
like I
Mac
said,
and
it
there's
could just
Windows.
be,
You know, there's always two different. There's
it's
always going
an-
to be competitors going at
it's
it.
an outside, like they went with an out of the box approach.
Yeah.
You know, no other car on the grid, even their sister teams, nobody has the same concept that they do. And one, I think because they're having trouble figuring it out.
Right.
Even
think
though
a powerhouse team like that should
Mhm.
figure it out, and if you can't figure it out, then
So maybe that's part of the cost cap, you know.
maybe if
I think
money
they
was
were-
endless, they could figure it out.
I think so for sure, because then they have all of this time to bring new upgrades and test them. Oh, well, that doesn't work. Great, we'll test another one. You know, you test a bunch of shit. Now you can't do that because that costs a lot of money, right?
Right.
Another interesting thing that I noticed, and that was kind of a viral thing. I don't know if you saw it. Basically, Haas's pit wall.
Oh yeah, it's like 3.
It's now
tiny
3.
now.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's 3. So they say that they're saving $250,000 over the course of the season just by transportation cost of what it is to normally have like the big one. Like Red Bull's got fucking 7 people in there or something, right?
Well, I think
something
like Red Bull can obviously afford that, and then
but it's the cost cap. Remember, that the transportation actually goes into the overall cost.
Then do you think would it be fair to say though that maybe Haas couldn't hit the cost cap anyway, so then maybe
I
they're
think
shrinking
they
it down
can
to
this year.
push that money back into the car development versus like hey, we don't need 7 guys on
Maybe,
the wall.
maybe,
let's
yeah.
dump it back into the car, because before we didn't
So
have
that
that money. Now last year we
And
finished well.
I think
we
this
got,
is the
like,
first
extra
year
money.
that they're actually going to be pushing the cost cap, because now they have MoneyGram too. And so I think they're getting a lot more money just in their club. But that could also mean that now somebody's coming like, hey, we can save fucking money doing this, and we can put that money into car development. Because if you look at all of those, so even let's say they have a new part that gets developed at the factory.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost a lot of money to ship that overnight or whatever to the racetrack to be ready. All of that price is included in the overall cost cap. So that is a huge logistical thing that they have to think about when they're spending money for the season, which is something that I would not have even thought about. But that's why I watched 25 hours and listened to what they're saying, because I learned a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like, wow, I never would have thought that that would be part of the cost cap of car development and race overall, right? So,
which you would think they would take that out. Personally, I would think that shouldn't be associated with car development and stuff like that. But
yeah,
or I think for certain teams they should include it, like maybe the powerhouse teams, to make, then that would true it up and make everybody closer,
even closer. Yeah.
So like if you charge, hey, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, you guys are like the kings of this shit, so we're gonna roll this up into you to make it fair for the non-high budget teams. Let's back out some of that money. But then at the same time, then I guess you run into the factor like money, the sports aren't even, yada yada yada. I'm not asking for a participation trophy by no means.
Well, and
also just trying to make it more the racing better. That's all I care about. Like if we have 1st through 10th battling, oh, I'm there for it. Like that's sick. And everybody's separated by half a second, and you see somebody stuff into the next guy at every corner, and like people are crossing up. Like that's like the best racing you can find, right?
It's dangerous.
So yeah, I mean, but
this isn't motocross.
Yeah. So I mean, but what race was it? Was it I think it was Charles and Max. They were going at it for like 3 laps straight. Like one guy would pass him on the corner, and then they
so I mean,
bring it back in the next
Charles
corner.
would pass him on the corners, and then Max would get him in the straights. Yeah, it was great battle. It was super fun. I mean, even Silverstone, right? Max and Charles were racing, and then Lewis came in.
Oh yeah,
right? He ended up getting passed by them both again, but it was like, oh sweet, like just out of nowhere, the third guy comes up and like takes the lead for a second. You know, I definitely think the racing has gotten better. The cars are able to follow closer. Safety rules are getting better too.
Made it way better than the first season I watched it for sure, because it was like Mercedes and Red Bulls on their own, and then half the time either the Mercedes was on its own or the Red Bull was on its own. Yeah, most of the time it was Mercedes was on their own, because they're in the end of that era of that car.
Yeah, they were just crushing everybody. And there was no cost cap then, so it was like endless money.
Yeah,
I mean,
so then
right, like now the cost cap's like 140 million. These guys were spending like 260 million or something crazy, like almost double. So like their budget's like really tight.
Trying to think here where to go next.
Lids.
We could talk about lids. I've been seeing a lot of good lids. I've sent you a few.
Favorite lid? Valtteri Bottas?
Dude, Valtteri's is looking mean.
Yeah.
I do love his because I think it's comedy. Like his lid is comedy.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to bring it for the first race or it's just going to be for testing. Or,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's cool. I think his girlfriend or wife, I think she actually designed it.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
That's sick.
Yeah. So he's really invested in his new Australian roots. His new Aussie roots.
I'm for it.
So those of you guys haven't seen it, it's basically you know, he's got a mullet and a stash now, and his crash helmet is exactly made to look like him. It's got the mullet, it's got the stash, it's all, you know, face
like
color
on his cheeks.
It's got everything. Like it's basically just exactly him. It's awesome. It's, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Maybe we'll throw a clip up.
I do another helmet
dope.
I do like that I've always been a fan of. I like Lando's helmet. It's like bright, it's loud, the neon.
He always has like
yellow,
a
green.
cool,
The one thing I don't like is that he doesn't really mix it up too much. It's always kind of that same color, and he's got that symbol.
He's got his
like
personal
that,
brand.
Yeah, the quadrant.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah.
I totally love that style helmet, that like geometric design. Somebody else had a really sick helmet. Max's helmet was super dope, all white. Not the gold helmet, but the all white with the gold flake in it.
I like the white with the gold flake.
That helmet was super sick.
I've always been a fan of Lewis's helmets. I like the purple, like, you know.
I do like some of Lewis's helmets, and then some of them I don't because it looks like a typical monster, or like an energy drink helmet. Big monsters on the sides, and then obviously they fill stuff in around it.
George Russell has those too.
That's you were telling me that.
And I was looking again. I think last year he had them too.
Oh, did he get picked up by Monster?
Because he must have.
There you go.
So I don't know if it's just.
I wonder if they sponsored the team
being a Mercedes driver, but it's not on the car. It's just on their helmets.
Bottas. I don't think he had it though, because Bottas always had that blue helmet.
That's true. I don't
like baby blue.
Think he did, yeah,
baby blue and blue.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think who's
I like Logan Sargent's. He's got a cool like American flag in there. He was also, I watched an interview with him. He was talking about how he, you know, basically is like, how excited are you that you have 3 home races?
Oh yeah,
right, because most of the racers have one. You know, most of the countries just have one race, if they even have one at all. And now we have 3 here in the US this season, which is seriously awesome. I love it. And so he's like, oh yeah, it's cool. It's now I have 3 opportunities to bring really cool helmet liveries.
Zach loves Russell's helmet. I have to go look back at it. I don't think I wasn't like turned off by Russell's helmet.
I feel like it looks a lot like Lewis's. It's probably
very simple. And yeah, just different colors. Who was Alpine? Pierre's helmet, I think, was really sick.
I don't know if I saw that one.
I thought I sent you that one. It could, maybe I'm getting it mixed up with somebody else. Pierre's I thought was really sick. Checo's was badass.
He's always got some cool ones too.
He had like the Mexico flare in it. It was like red, white, and gold. And I was like, not for Red Bull though, but it was like a different red. So like I was super stoked on that one. Came out really bitching. I liked the helmet. It was from last year. I think it was Daniel Ricciardo's Singapore helmet. He had like the alien honey badger on the back, or like the neon honey badger.
He's always got like funky
as fuck. I was like
ones too,
dude. His helmet, like I
think he had like a cowboy hat on his one for the
Texas.
For Texas, yeah, something. He's always got cool stuff.
Who else had another really good? There's one other driver I thought I sent.
I think Leclerc's are cool. They're like basically just simple red and white
and like the pinstriping,
but it's kind of like the matte red. I think it looks pretty clean.
Or the matte white. Like I remember somebody has like, it's like opposite. Like somebody has a matte white and then somebody has a matte red. And it looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Logan. I mean, yeah. Going back to what you're saying though about the home races thing, I don't know if I was talking to you or if I was talking to somebody else, but they were saying like Max really has like 2 or 3 home races because of how tight all those races are together. Like,
yeah, all of the fans come right there.
They're all together because he almost has like 2 or 3 home races because he has the Red Bull Ring, which is almost a home race for him because it's the Red Bull team. All the fans there are Max fans. Then he has his Netherlands race. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if there is an actual Netherlands
or it's next to the Netherlands. It's like on the border or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's like one other track too they're saying, which
is
geography
close.
I think so. Geography wise, I don't know.
We're exactly Americans. We're awful with geography.
I'm good with certain things, not all of it though.
Yeah, I try and be better, but it's like I don't know.
Like I can tell you like the continents. Like if you give me a blank map, I could be like, yes, I know where that continent is, and I know where Asia, Australia, etc. But
well, a lot of Americans don't even know the states.
Yeah,
that's pretty sad.
I used to know all the states, like no problem. Now and capitals. Now I don't know if I could probably get all the states. I don't know if I could get the capitals though.
I bet I could do capitals and states. Where I have an issue is like all of those little tiny eastern ones where they're like all really close, like Delaware,
Rhode Island's easy because Rhode Island's the island on its own.
Yeah, so I don't know. They're
like
all like
Vermont,
which
Massachusetts.
ones, which ones are you?
Yeah, no, all the helmets are looking bitchin'. I'm super stoked for Logan. Hopefully he can perform and just really set himself. Is he on a year contract or 2?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
We should look into that.
Not sure.
I would guess if he can get a ride for next year.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, that'd be sick if they moved him up. Well, he's on the farm team, so the only place for him to really. Well, no, because wasn't Leclerc on like was he on Williams or something like that? And then he got bumped.
No, because Leclerc was with Alpha, who is Ferrari
farm team. Okay.
Yeah. But Nick DeVries was in the Mercedes lineup, and now he's AlphaTauri.
Actually,
yeah,
I was really hoping. I don't know if they finagled this in the Mick's contract, but Mick's right. He's fill-in driver for McLaren and Mercedes.
Yeah.
Which is McLaren using Mercedes motors? Well, they were.
Yeah, they were.
So that's probably why he's allowed to do that. I just realized it literally just dawned on me right now. So, but
how about Lance Stroll's injured?
Yeah, Lance Stroll's injured. I was like,
a big wild
it'd
card.
Be sick if Mick could go slide up into the Aston Martin and go drive. I mean, I don't know.
That's also a Mercedes powertrain.
Maybe they could then. Because I don't know who their backup driver. You said some guy's name. I don't know. Giacomo, whatever his name is. It's really long and I don't know how to say it. It wasn't George. What was it? What was the dude's name?
No, John. It's I was just thinking about it before.
It's so big. His last name's huge. It's like
it's not that big. It's Felipe Drugovich.
Yeah. Sorry, he sounds like a dragon or something.
Well, so he's actually like their backup.
Who's the backup then?
That's what I'm having.
Put Mick in the car. Mick comes out, wins the first race. Tell Stroll, sit on the couch, baby. We're going to win a fucking title.
Let's look this up because I forget
legit.
exactly. It's
I don't think anybody would be mad at that. If you threw Mick in Aston Martin, nobody's gonna be mad.
I'd be okay. I like Mick.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of interesting things going on here. One thing I'm gonna shamelessly plug this.
Oh yeah, so Vettel actually came and was like,
yes,
was like, hey guys, if you need a reserve driver for next race, I'll be there.
I did hear that rumor,
but it looks like Felipe Drugovich actually got. Yeah, I read that they gave him.
How did he look in the car then?
He looked good. Yeah, he looked good.
You think he'll top 10?
No, I think Fernando's gonna definitely beat him.
Okay.
I mean, Fernando.
I'm curious. So like all these guys, right? Like Fernando's openly said, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but
Van Dorn was there.
Got it.
Is their normal one, but he's got like a bunch of other race,
like the Le Mans and
like
shit.
WRC, and he does like 3 other race circuits.
Got it.
And so
how do you guys like this go be able to do that? They can race like 4 other things. And I know. Like, just on the side, I'm gonna race
basically. Yeah.
And then Logan's getting his balls busted for trying to get a super license, like. Or the IndyCar guys, like, oh, hey, you can race IndyCar, but you can't come over and race Formula 1 because you don't have a super license.
Well, so that's why
Piastri, it was the other dude. He drives for McLaren in IndyCar, and I can't think.
Nick DeVries?
No, Pat O'Ward. No, Pat O'Ward came over. No, Pat O'Ward came over from. Yeah, was it Pat O'Ward?
I don't know. I've never heard that name.
No, I know. I can't think of the guy's name right
now. Yeah, I don't know.
That's gonna bother me.
Think of that. You can research it.
Yeah, I'll research it here in a second. But I lost my train of thought before this.
Perfect.
Anyways,
we could talk fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get into that here shortly because we're coming up on time before we bore everybody to death. Fantasy. So if you guys have any interest in fantasy at all, we started a league. It is called F1 America Fantasy 2023. Pretty simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
We have a good crew going right now. I think we'll have like 8 people total right now.
Yeah. So come on over. You guys are welcome. It's open, right?
It's open to the public. We are going to be doing some prizes this year. Next year, if it's a success, we'll do some bigger prizes, maybe even throw some money in it, see what happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, just looking to have a good old time. It's very interesting because I played fantasy, other motorsports fantasies. So this one's a little bit different. It seems like you pick your team and then you can switch drivers around, but you get docked for switching drivers. So it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, it's
None
not
of us have
like
actually
setting a
done it.
lineup before each race
Yeah.
and then whoever, you know, so you actually kind of pick a team that you are going to ride with for the season. So,
And then if you want to roll the dice, like you thinking, you know, maybe you think one day like, oh, Logan's going to be hot this week. Let me switch him out for, if Vettel was racing, I'm going to switch him for Vettel, right? And then but then you also take a points penalty off your total points. So, and then you're also getting points for qualifying, you're getting points for sprint races, you're getting points for the actual finish. And it's just like actual F1. So you get points 1 through 10th, and then obviously all the way back there's 0 points all the way back to 20th. But then from there also, if your guy doesn't finish or he doesn't score a qualifying time or doesn't set a time, then you get dock points for that. So I don't even know how I'm going to make any points.
Yeah, right.
I'm like kind of nervous. I'm like, well, shit.
Well, and then there's like little perks that you can put to where you can pick one driver that gets double points.
Yep. Or like
for the race
chips, I think
yeah,
is what it's called.
And then there's one that they can get triple points, and then there's some other stuff. I don't know. It's funky. There's a lot of rules. I'm still trying to figure it out. I may
points
actually
for fastest lap or overtakes in the sprint race.
Oh, okay, cool.
You get points per overtake. You get points if you move forward on the grid, but you also get docked points if you go backwards. So, I mean, it's weird because it's all over the place because one race, you know, you have Lando up there battling for a podium. Then the next race, he's in 12th, rolling around, doesn't know
scoring no points.
Yeah. Or he qualifies 4th and then he crashes and he's out. So then he finishes 19th. And you're like, well, shit. So honestly, I feel like it's going to be so hard to be good at it because like in other motorsports, like motocross, you know, the top 5 guys are going to be. So you can pick those guys, alternate the order like every week.
Yeah. And you
don't know.
You might have somebody crash out, right? But rare.
Yeah.
So, and you have to set your team, I guess, like who you think is going to perform the best out of the team that you already pick before the season starts.
Before qualifying, for sure.
Yeah, so don't pick Lance Stroll. You're not going to get any points this week.
Damn it, you should have let somebody pick that because I'm all for advantage. Strategic advantage. Like, hey guys, pick Lance. He's like right now.
He could pick it up in the second half.
No, true.
You know, so you really never know.
Which I should give him some light. Lance Stroll out with 2 broken wrists.
I think so. Yeah,
hurt one, broke one. I mean, I understand he's broken both wrists, which is
at least one. I think at least is left because I believe he got surgery in Spain. I think it was Spain because he's getting surgery by the guy who does all of Marc Marquez's surgeries.
Oh, really?
Which, if you guys follow MotoGP, Marc Marquez is the multiple world champ, amazing, but fucking crashes all the time and breaks the shit out of his body. So apparently his surgeon is working on Lance Stroll. All of this is kind of hearsay. I haven't found any official reports from like F1 or from Aston Martin, but that's kind of what my research brought up. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there for me personally. There's no love lost. I don't really like Stroll a whole lot. He's gotten better. Don't get me wrong.
I like him now. I didn't like him at first, right? Like I thought he was just a spoiled kid that didn't deserve a drive. Maybe that's still the truth, but I think he's not so whiny anymore. I think he kind of just puts his head down and works now.
He's gotten better in that sense. There's definitely been some hot clips out there like, oh, he just pulled out Ferrari pulled out in the middle of the track, and then the next thing does the same, like 3 laps later, he does the same exact shit. And so it's like, okay, don't yell at somebody for doing something, then you do the same exact thing. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I will say, you know, he's not crashing all the time like fucking Latifi or Mazepin. Yeah. Even Mick had some pretty bad crashes. But Charles has crashed a few times last season, you know, so I mean, it happens to even the best of them, but
for sure,
I think that they're looking a lot better. I think it's cool. You know, they're really pushing Team Aston Martin forward a lot. I think it'll be interesting to see how Alonso does on their machine.
That's what I was going to say earlier is that Alonso even openly said it, like, I still think I can be here and I can do it. And you look at the last 2 or 3 years, and you're like, are you sure? But
yeah, I mean, maybe the talk's been kind of that's kind of been the talk, is like, I guess the arcing joke, I'll say joke lightly, the arcing kind of joke is that for as good as he is, he just makes really poor driver team decisions. Like he moves teams to just not good teams. That's kind of
okay. So
why are you doing this? So
hypothetical out there. Throw him in a Red Bull. What does he do? Does he win in races? Is he from top 5?
Here's the thing about Red Bull. is Red Bull designs the car around Max and Max's driving style, which is very, very unique,
Yeah.
which is why it's really hard to find a second driver because they don't develop a second car for, right? They basically give them two cars designed the same way, all based around Max. So it's like whatever feedback Max wants, that's what they give him. That's why it's so hard for their reserve driver to actually be as good as Max and perform as good because most of them don't have that style. So with that being said, I think, it's really interesting. I think there's some really good drivers like Sainz. They were talking about how good he is at adapting, right? You throw him in a McLaren, he's going to figure it out. You throw him in the Ferrari, he figures it out, right? Like he will figure out and adapt his driving style to fit whatever the car is, and he does it pretty quickly.
Okay, so then look at it like Daniel, right? Like McLaren was giving him shit, like, oh, you can't drive, you can't figure it out. But Daniel was obviously giving McLaren a lot of feedback, like, this car does not do this. And even Daniel went as far as to say, is like, hey, like, I'm not going to talk shit about, when asked about Lando, it's like, I'm not going to talk shit about Lando, but Lando only knows the McLaren. Right. He doesn't know another car. He's like, and Daniel's like, I've been in a Renault, I've been in a McLaren, I've been in a Red Bull. The Red Bull does this, and this is what it needs to do. And it seems like McLaren was very hesitant to take that feedback and like improve their car, or they just didn't know how to improve their car, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, kudos to Daniel though. He got paid 18 million to go leave to not drive this season. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know we all want to be racing and want to be out there as an athlete, but at the same time, for you to get paid out to just now you can do press and you can go be a goofball.
Yeah, I mean,
and hey, maybe get a fill-in ride.
Cool. As a mental performance coach, I think it's going to be really good for his mind to take a little break, to not have the pressure, to not be, and to be able to kind of be outside the box and look in a little bit. He's still getting paid.
Yeah.
So he's not happy. I mean, he shouldn't have any stress, right, about that. And now he can kind of see, and I think he can work some other deals behind and try and get another ride for the next couple of years. I think it's not.
Could he be a fill-in driver for AlphaTauri? Or no? Do they have their own fill-in guy?
I bet they have their own fill-in, but I'm sure he could. Like,
dude,
I don't know
that that'd be sick. Throw him in an AlphaTauri, see what he does.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what kind of bonuses do the reserve drivers get? Like, if they get thrown into a race, like, surely they get an extra bonus for driving, right?
You would think. I mean,
I'm sure they do.
No, not well. De Vries drove for multiple teams. Like he went Mercedes.
Yeah, but he already. So technically, he's gonna have like his debut. Like this is his debut season, but he's already driven the Williams and scored points. So he scored points on his debut drive in a Williams,
which is mega.
I mean, this kid's good. He's won Formula E. He won Formula 2. Like he's good.
Yeah,
I'm actually really excited. That's also the kind of the talk is.
I'm more excited for him than Oscar Piastri, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype around Oscar Piastri, so we'll see because he's like. He was Formula Renault champ, then he was Formula 3 champ, he was Formula 2 champ, and now like, I mean, he's good.
He's in a shit box now, so good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, right? Like, so I've been rewatching a lot of old races, and I decided like because there's a lot of tension between Alonso and Hamilton. I wanted to see like, well, I know they were teammates. What was that all about? So I went back and rewatched Hamilton's debut season to see, I've always been a real big fan, but I'm like, okay, well, what were his stats? Why was he so good? What is, and it was interesting listening to some of the commentators even this weekend where everybody always says, well, Lewis has been in the best cars, but that's not actually true. And well, I'll tell you, his fucking rookie season, he beat Alonso, who was already a 2-time world champ.
Was that
in the same car? And he, as his rookie debut, he led most of the season. He had one accident that took him out, like that basically brought in a 3-way race during the final race to see who would win. Lewis and I think Fernando were maybe tied, and then Kimi Räikkönen was in third, but they all could have won. Basically, wherever their placing was during the race was who's going to be champ.
Got it. So as long as they finished ahead of the other guys.
Yep, and Kimi ended up winning.
That's like
so he was world champ.
No matter the motorsport, that is the best way to end a series. Like, I mean, I know everybody hates on 2 years ago with Max and Lewis. that was the best way to end it. All right, best way to
Well,
end
maybe
the season.
not how it
Tied to go
how
into
it
the last
happened,
race.
but I think the season was glorious. One of the best seasons we've had between two,
modern, modern era.
Yeah, as far as like two people battling for the championship.
And same thing coming from motocross. So you don't even see that often. There's occasionally you'll get a series where it's coming down to the last race of the season.
Yeah.
And it's deciding it. Like so and so has to finish in front of so and so. So I think that's how racing needs to end.
I like it.
I hate it when they wrap it up in 2 races to go. And it's like they don't even have to show up. Like personally, if it was me, I wouldn't even show up and I keep my body healthy, get ready for the next series or whatever I'm doing.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, in motocross, maybe it's a little bit, you tend to get injuries and stuff a little bit different than Formula One, right? Yeah, which also brings about the tension that Red Bull have potentially. I know they've downplayed it. They said everything's great. But I find it really hard that Checo's going to be all good about how Max treated him the last season. Max already won the title. He knew that they were fighting, that Checo was fighting for a second place, right? Red Bull would have been 1-2 in the drivers' championship against Leclerc.
I don't know how you don't.
And he literally tells the team basically to fuck off. I'm not doing team orders. I'm not going to change. And he was in 6th place, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't even, it's not like he was going to win a race or get some, like he was in 6th.
Yeah.
You're not scoring that many points. You've already won the championship.
And
you're not going to swap one place with your teammate to give him extra point. Like, and that cost Checo his second place. So I mean, that goes to show like, that is one of the main reasons why I'm not a Max fan. Do I think he's a great driver? I do.
So,
but do I think he's like
probably unpopular opinion? I'm not saying I totally support it. I could see it, and you kind of have to respect it. Like, no, I'm not playing the team bullshit. But in the past, like we know
Checo switch for him.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like I don't know. I'm all about fairness.
Yeah.
Now, if Checo never did anything,
and he's like, "Fuck you, Checo,"
then okay, I don't give a shit. Like, go be it. Go race for yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many times did Checo hold up Lewis in a race?
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Checo's done his part.
Checo's really crushed being a teammate. He came into the role knowing that he was going to be second team, basically. You know, and I think he's really, really performed. So I'm curious. I hope that Checo just gives him the burdens, but they could cut him halfway through the season and throw in Danny Rick, you know. So
there's a lot of rumors on that going around, or like theories. I don't even know. If it's
I
rumors.
I don't know that, but if he's, I think that's a strategy for. And here's the thing: is I think Christian Horner is really good at chess, and I think he could potentially bring Danny in just for the sole purpose to be able to hold that over Checo's head so that Checo can't screw Max.
To keep him in check.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily
be like, oh, well, I guess, we could just throw Daniel in the car if you're not gonna, swap places.
But then look at how they ended. Like, Daniel left because he was getting
treated like that.
Getting treated like shit. So, like, why would Daniel go back? Maybe Daniel feels like, hey, I'm going to get thrown back into Red Bull and I'll drive way better.
I don't know.
So then he's just like, fuck it. And then we have 2 all-star drivers again.
I think it's more that he didn't really have anywhere else to go, and he didn't want to completely be booted out of the sport. At least he still has a foot in, and he can, like, because now he'll be there every race weekend in the team, in the paddock. He can work side deals.
Yeah.
Because you still have your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Not that you can't otherwise, but you're there, you're around it, you're not losing, and you still have opportunity to drive. So you can still work on your racecraft. You're not taking a full off.
Full year out of it.
And like, he does have history with them. I think Christian Horner's really good at manipulating people.
Oh, for sure.
Which
he probably told him what he needed to hear, and Dave was like,
"Oh,
Dad,
okay,
pick me up."
Totally. Like I think that's definitely a little bit of that. So, but I think it's going to be interesting. I think we'll see.
It'll definitely be interesting. I don't know. Like, so what I was saying is like, okay, at least the only ounce of respect you could really have left for Max is like, hey, like when he says he's going to do something, he does it, right? Like, he's like, I told you I'm not getting the position back. So like, as a man or male figure, you're like, hey, dude, like you laid down the law, like it is what it is. But at the same time, from a teammate aspect, from a team aspect, how much more money that would have
I
helped
just
them
think,
out
like,
with, like
yeah,
whatever.
like,
It's fucked. Don't get me wrong. Like, do I
and just no
say like
respect.
I'm not walking up to Max like high five, dude. You really put it to Checo because you're already kicking.
Yeah,
him.
your teammate.
Let's just kick
Yeah,
him
like,
in the
kick him
nuts while he's already
yeah.
down. It's like, god damn, dude. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I'm curious if I guess we'll see this weekend if Christian's like Checo get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's like you know you were hired to be the fucking fanboy, number one fanboy of Max.
Yeah. I mean, they swear that everything's ironed out and things are good, and I don't know. I'm
They
curious.
were talking about that like the week after they were ironed out. I remember seeing a video.
Yeah.
Checo's like interview, like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about it." Like, no, we're good. Everything's good. Seems good. I'm like, I don't think you get over that
PR
fast.
control, buddy. PR control, like ahead of the narrative.
Or he's just like, I don't want to deal with the bullshit. Like, whatever, I'm over it. Like Checo just dumped it, and he's like, all right, let's move on. I got a race car. Like later.
Yeah, I time will tell, right? We'll see. Be interesting. I haven't gotten that far in Drive to Survive yet to see.
I just finished Full Swing. I haven't started the new Drive to Survive yet. Well, that episode's probably gonna be pretty wicked once you get to it though. The one
I've heard there's a lot of drama in this season, but I don't know.
They were trying to make up a lot of drama in the golf version of it, Full Swing. They were making like guys that are really good friends hate each other and shit like that, or like they're making it come across like they hated each other. So
yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for race cars to be back this weekend.
Super stoked.
Feels like it's been a while, and then I blinked and it's already back here. So
yeah,
definitely excited to see what happens. I would love to see Logan do good. Love to see DeVries do good. I think DeVries is going to do good. I didn't watch qualifying too much, but I think he'll figure it out. And he already shown that he could get points in 2 different cars. Did he get points in Mercedes? He did, right?
He didn't race.
Didn't he race that Mercedes car? He was a fill-in ride for one of the Mercedes, I could swear. Or was it just the Williams?
Just the Williams. I think he's only had one race.
Yeah, I swear he drove for 2 different people.
Well,
that was like the big story. Like he drove for 2 different cars. Was it McLaren?
I don't know. Who was it?
He drove 2 different. I know he drove 2 races.
I don't remember because George filled in for Lewis
that 1 year, the 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know.
Was that 3 years ago?
Not last year. It was the previous year because of COVID. Lewis got COVID.
Yeah,
so it would have been 2020, I believe.
I think F1 or
I guess 2020. I guess could have been 2 years.
Yeah,
fuck man, time flies.
Fantasy, I think it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, I think I might try and learn more about it and then do a video on that too. Like, hey, this is kind of the breakdown on this
for sure.
We'll see how much time I get.
Right. We're gonna be talking about tracks. We're gonna be doing post race thoughts, recaps.
Yeah,
what are we gonna call it? Yeah. So be on the lookout for stuff. Join the fantasy league. If you have any questions, F1 related, I'll do my best to answer them.
Hit us up. You know,
we're just a couple dumb Americans that don't know what we're talking about, but we're just here for a good
rambling
time.
On.
A long time. But yeah, thank you guys for the support.
Good time for a long time.
Yeah,
all the longevity.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you.
Share with your friends.
Yeah.
Bye.